And the NFL trade deadline is quickly approaching here, and we've got a couple trades to report. First, we got Kenyon Drake. He goes from Miami to Arizona, and then probably the biggest trade in the last couple days, of course, is Leonard Williams. He goes from the Jets to the Giants. So I'm going to give you guys my grades on those trades, and I'm going to tell you a couple rumors of some guys that might be changing teams within the next couple days. But let's start with this Leonard Williams trade. Now, to me, for starters, I found it pretty interesting that the Giants were trying to trade for another defensive lineman when they already have their starters at D-line, and they're also going to have a top 10 pick in 2020. So they trade a third-round pick in next year's draft. That, to me, is kind of steep just for the rights to sign Leonard Williams. So Leonard Williams, this year, he hasn't been very productive. 20 tackles, 5 quarterback hits, and 0 sacks in 7 games. Remember, a lot of hype around Leonard Williams. When he came out of USC, he has not delivered on that hype. But in Leonard Williams' defense, this new system does not fit his skill set like it did under Todd Bowles. So under Todd Bowles, he got the most out of him. If you look at it, between 2015 and 2018, under his defensive scheme, more of a one gap where you can let him be aggressive, let him roam a little bit. He had 43 tackles for a loss, and that's third among interior defenders since 2016. So that's solid. He had 63 quarterback hits, 122 quarterback hurries in his 4 seasons. So he's only 25 years old, but it's not really his skill set. To me, it's the fact that they drafted Dexter Lawrence in the first round of last year's draft, and then 2017, they drafted Dalvin Tomlinson. So if they pay Leonard Williams, that's going to hurt their ability to improve their roster in other areas when it comes to free agency. I don't think he's shown enough to really warrant that trade package. I give this trade a C for the New York Giants. As far as the Jets are concerned, I like the fact I give the Jets a B+. The Jets, they get those draft picks. They get a guy out of their system that really wasn't suited to flourish in that system, so I give them a B+. The next big move involved Kenyon Drake, the running back from Miami. He goes from the Dolphins to the Cardinals in exchange for a 6th-round pick, and Kenyon Drake, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season, but a much-needed move by the Arizona Cardinals. Their running backs are always injured. If you look at it, Chase Edmonds, DJ Foster, David Johnson, they're constantly out with injuries, and Kenyon Drake, this guy was underutilized in Miami. Their offensive line was terrible. If you look at last year, Drake had a career year, 535 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, averaged 4.5 yards per carry. He also had 53 catches for 477 yards. So when Johnson comes back, he slips into that number 2 role. It can be dynamic out of the backfield, catching passes, and it's a great insurance policy. So I give this move for the Arizona Cardinals an A. It was a big need. And the Miami Dolphins, I also give it an A. If you're going to tank hard, and that's what the Dolphins are doing. They get another draft pick, and if you look at this Miami Dolphins draft capital that they have right now, if you look at it, they have 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a third, a fourth, a 5th-round pick, 8 picks in the first 5 rounds for the Miami Dolphins, and you know they're in it for that number 1 pick. I think the Miami Dolphins, I know they traded for Josh Rosen. I think you let Josh Rosen go. And if I was the Chicago Bears, Mitch Trubisky is a bust. B-U-S-T. He's done. Mitchell Trubisky is not an NFL quarterback. If you look at it, Pro Football Focus has him as the 50th ranked quarterback in the NFL in the last 2 seasons. He's an absolute bust. I would make that move for Josh Rosen. You got that contract that's very cheap. So I would make that move. And then we got some rumors to tell you about right now. And another name to look out for is cornerback Darius Slay of the Detroit Lions. Adam Schefter, he's reported that he's been made available by the Detroit Lions, and if they get a great offer for him, they'd consider parting ways with a cornerback that could help a lot of teams in the NFL right now. The Minnesota Vikings, their secondary is suspect. I like the Seattle Seahawks, a team that their secondary really has not held up to their end of the bargain. And Russell Wilson, that offense has played well, but defensively, they have Bobby Wagner. They have a defensive line. They made the trade for Jadeveon Clowney, but they could use help in that secondary. I like that move. You put him with his buddy, Quandre Diggs. I like that move. So watch out for Darius Slay And then here's the big name that's been floated out there. Yesterday, Jay Glazer said that teams have been contacting the Houston Texans for DeAndre Hopkins. So DeAndre Hopkins, I know, right? Deshaun Watson, you think you pair those two for a couple years, but DeAndre Hopkins, he's being offered for 2 first-round picks. So if a team wants to ante up and offer 2-round picks, DeAndre Hopkins can be had, and I think that's a great move. I know 2 first-round picks is a lot of picks, but he's under team control for another couple years. He stands to make a $12.5 million base salary in the next 2 years of his deal, and he's only appeared in 7 games. So he's caught 49 passes for 508 yards and 3 touchdowns. But if you're the Houston Texans, they have flirted with the idea of rebuilding. J.J. Watt's out for the year. They trade away Jadeveon Clowney. And if you can get a large haul, a massive haul for DeAndre Hopkins, I really think you seriously consider it. I like the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, they just got Emmanuel Sanders, but that defense is ready for a Super Bowl run. You pair DeAndre Hopkins with Jimmy G. I really like that pairing. Or Baltimore. Baltimore needs receivers to put alongside Lamar Jackson, and then maybe the Carolina Panthers. But with tons of rumors swirling, I do think you're going to see some big trades as we get closer and closer to the deadline.